week we spoke about the Tikuttho Sutra. In fact, may I kindly ask this Rasikbhai? Yeah, Rasikbhai. You actually were mentioning some very interesting points last week. So would you please mind sharing with the class? I think that was very pertinent because we were talking about the importance of Guru and how Guru is important. And I think Rasikbhai, in his youth, he was in India and he sort of had some very nice things to say. So please.
Don't just accept anybody as a guru. You test out your guru first, whether it's a genuine guru or not. And that was done by Swami Vivekananda. I don't know if you have heard of Swami Vivekananda. Ramakrishna Paramahansa was his guru. But before accepting him as a guru, he tested him. But he was looking for lots of gurus. And he said, how do I find out if this is a real guru or not? So basically, Rajeev said, जब अपना गुरु हो इन्हें कोई भी वस्तु में मोह माया की कहीं ना हो इन्हें पैसा के whatever they are not interested in that. So what he did was जे रामकृष्ण परमहंस ने जहाँ बेसाड़वाना था यहाँ आसन नीचे इन्हें पैसा है just to test him out. And when Ramakrishna Paramahansa said that asan, he said there is something unusual here. And he really felt something. And as a result, he tested him out and said, he just said, why, this must be a real guru. And then he accepted Ramakrishna Paramahansa as his guru. That's why I say, any guru ni mani after pela ni joan ke barabar che ke ni pachi j. Otherwise, getting to work.
Thank you very much. So I think there was the essence here, like even after Tikuttho Sutra, we have these 36 qualities which we said of the gurus, and therefore we can then recite them. So these are like the benchmark for us to know who is the right guru or not the right guru. So as an extension to Tikuttho Sutra, the next sutra which we're going to be doing the Samayik sequence of Samayik Sutras is the Tikuttho Sutra. And again, it's an obeisance to the guru. Funny enough, maybe perhaps this might be the shortest class ever because the sutras is literally 4 lines. So we might be done in about 10 minutes. But let's see how far we go. So let's recite it together. It's Tikuttho, Ayahinam, Vayahinam, Karani, Vandami, Namansami, Sakkarani, Samanini, Kallanam, Mangalam, Devyam, Cheyam, Vajuvasami, Matthena Vandami. So essentially what it means, if you look at it when line by line, Tikuttho means 3 times. Ayahinam from the right side. Vayahinam circumambulate. So after Kani Varam three times. Karani doing it. Vandami praise you by words and bow before you from heart. Namansami pay venerations. Sakkarani pay respects. Samanini pay reverence. Kallanam you are propitious. Mangalam you are auspicious. Devyam you are divine like God. Cheyam you are embodiment of right knowledge. Vajuvasami serve and worship you. Matthena Vandami. So I sort of bow down my head in reverence to you. So we'll try to go through each one of these in a little bit more detail. So essentially what we have found is that a guru is like a captain. Flight soil, then there's a pilot, ship soil. So the guru is essentially supposed to be a captain for our life. Who is going to steer our life. We have got lots of scriptures in front of us. We've got lots of different, from a spiritual point of view, we might get lost. And the guru is supposed to be some elevated soul who can then weave us through this art of life. So the guru takes us across shores by protection from the turbulence of the growth, maya and love. And so the importance of guru is that in our mundane life, we generally have just one point. A pilot is going to take us from point A to point B. A ship's captain, a driver, a chauffeur. But when we believe in reincarnation, then the importance of guru becomes even more profound. Because the guru is going to set us for life, so that it's not only for our current life, but then set us for the next sequence of life, so many more lives to come. So the effect of a guru is absolutely profound. Now, if you look at it, the essence of a guru is between darkness and lightness. So generally, guru, if you look at somewhere around the word, guru actually means spiritual guru. Gu means darkness and ru means destruction. So even that's a word where guru comes from. Gu means darkness, and so a guru is a person who will destroy the darkness. That's what the guru signifies. And so, and in a lot of the scriptures also, light and darkness. And so darkness, as you know, even in our mundane world, without even talking about spirituality, if it's totally pitch dark over here, we won't be able to discriminate anything. Chair, we'll actually stumble over things. So as we know that even in the mundane world, we have got no idea of what's right or wrong. And if it's pitch dark, if there's a big rope, you do not know whether this is a snake or is it an actual rope. So that discrimination power goes away, even from our common experience. There is kind of ignorance. I just do not know what's around. So, and if you now translate that to the spiritual world, which means that there is darkness of our inner self. That's all those speakers talk about. So right now, in a state of delusion, we do not even know who we really are. So that's now getting towards the spiritual world, and that's kind of the darkness. What am I? Is this spiritual world? Who am I? Am I the body? Am I the soul? Am I the mind? And this kind of questions has been right from the ancient times, right from the Greeks. Okay, who am I? Where have I come from? It's kind of very pertinent questions when people are asking, what's my purpose of life? And so, and the path of emancipation is not visible. So that means we do not even know, we do not even know which is the path to my liberation's final destination. And that essentially is called Vidhyatva in kind of the spiritual language. Vidhyatva, which means that you have got no discrimination of right and wrong and right. If this is true, then you believe it's wrong. And if something is wrong, you actually believe it is to be true. That's kind of amazing at both ends. So if something is wrong, you actually believe that's something very good. I mean, a very common example, I recently, there was actually a talk by Professor Manchan, like one common perception was a glass of wine every day is actually good for the health. So there was a common perception that actually alcohol in very limited quantities is actually quite good. And then as time goes on, research is now, he's actually the head of AIMS. If you know in India, AIMS is actually one of the topmost medical colleges, almost like the Harvard of India. And AIMS, he was a director. And the research has now shown that even a small amount of alcohol is actually detrimental to the health. So he says, not even if someone says, I just have a sip every day, says that also is not beneficial for them. So you can see that how it could be kind of something someone considered to be true, but then actually with time goes on, it actually becomes a false statement. So that's kind of the darkness. And then we look at light. Lightness means we can discriminate between right and wrong, real versus unreal. Illuminate. So Guru is kind of very important. Guru is not only knowledge, only or action only. And that's very important. Because if someone has got only pure knowledge, then they're called actually like Pandit. It's common perception also quite frequently. If you have a lot of scholars, like then if you go to SOAS, there are many kind of people who say, okay, I'm actually a professor of theology. I teach this philosophy, that philosophy. You're a professor. But then you actually follow. Say, for example, if there is a professor of Jainism, I'm teaching Jainism, but if that person does not abide by vegetarianism, does not abide by honesty and cheating and all this kind of stuff, you are reciting as a professor, but are you really following the philosophy? So there's a big distinction between having knowledge only and action only. And just sort of you're doing action, but without any knowledge. So they actually have got the harmony of knowledge and action. They're both intertwined together. And they're only known by their qualities. So you look at a guru and only from the qualities you can imbibe, yes, this is a really true guru. And they're really the embodiment of the three jewels, Samayik, Darshan, Gnan, and Charitra. So they've got the right vision, Darshan, Gnan means knowledge, and Charitra means the conduct. All three have to be in unison. So you cannot have someone whose conduct is very, very, very at odds with what you see with their knowledge. So essentially, this is kind of the importance of Guru. So taking us from darkness into the light. And I think even Rasika was saying the last time that the importance of Guru is very, very important because many people think, might the scriptures will change. Let me read the scriptures and let me just follow through it. But it so happens that, for example, there are books, let me learn swimming. Well, there's a book to show how you swim, but actually you would need a coach to teach you how to swim. And so it's very important sometimes that we find a guru who can help us through. So the importance of guru is very, very important. So the next one was Vandami. So Vandami means bow down and worship is also by speech. So sometimes if you look at these prayers, the prayers generally mean that when we say Vandan Karo Bhagwan, but we know that Jainism revolves around the three key concepts, Man, Vachan and Kaya. So, and essentially all karmas even are bound by these three things, man, vachan and kaya, by mind, by speech and by bodily action. And with this recombination, so even though there is an action, a physical action that I am buying down, one should come from the heart, and it also one should also sometimes apply chami, kama, samano. So sometimes when you do pratikaman, all these three things coming in kind of unison and we're living together. So vandami. Naman sami. So naman, fold one's hand in worship. Consider your guru to be godlike, the greatest, heart full of devotion, only that obeisance is truly worthwhile. Obeisance with empty hearts is lifeless and nothing but exertion of body. So it's almost like going to the gym and just buying down. So there's no emotion coming from you. I'm genuinely paying respect to a guru. So that feeling has to be genuinely coming from within you. The next one is sakkareni. So after Gujarati, even the common word is satkar. One is satkar. So respect the guru from deep within. And as you can see that when this respect comes in, we have also commonly found that even Sadhu Shilapiji Ave, to what extent do we go to actually welcome them? The kids, even here, assembly the kids will actually welcome them. This is also seen even when presidents come along. So if presidents come along, people will be waving flags and everything, welcoming. So this kind of respect goes only for all kind of leaders because people have the respect to feel bola. So respect your guru from deep within, fill your heart with the nectar of respect and devotion. And this really can go to great lengths. The guru does not expect anything, but it's your devotion to your guru which will make you do anything. You know, it's almost, you can go any lengths to respect your guru. Samman emi. So sanman ape છે. આ એક આપણે ગુજરાતીમાં સત્કાર કહે છે, બીજું કહે છે સન્માન. સન્માન એટલે felicitations, respect. And so you offer felicitations or honor one's guru. And what that means is you visit your guru at every opportunity. Guru ave છે, it's like as if you're in love with something, you actually you are attracted to it. When can I get sort of attached or meet this person? And it's that kind of respect. Oh, guru aiva છે. Oh, I really want to visit the guru at every single opportunity I can get. Don't consider guru as an ordinary event. It's something very special. We'll actually get up, so we respect even our guests who come home. So when Guru comes along, we would go through extraordinary lengths to welcome our Gurus. We give them special respects. There's a very good example. Lord Adeshwar Bhagwan, so his son was Bharat Maharaj. And there's a concept within Jainism that is called Chakravarti. So, and what that Chakravarti means is they're actually like emperors. Through their own good karmas, that they actually then can conquer the 6 or 7 continents. So so they're not only ordinary kings, but all the other kings of other kingdoms actually succumb to them and they become their Chakravarti. And if you looked at the Mahabharata, many of these concepts come in, they have got these chakras, wheel of chakras, they can destroy any kind of armies. So so essentially they are the absolute emperors. So then you can imagine right now, Trump is the president of USA. But can you imagine if there was one leader who is actually the entire earth? He's just one person. Everyone bows down to them. Trump is America. America is just a small place. But can you imagine all the continents? So it's that kind of immense thing that Bharat Chakravarti. So what happens is that he's actually a Chakravarti. His father has become a Tirthankar. At one instance in time, he actually hears, because his father, Lord Rishabdev, is a monk. So and he hears, okay, my father is actually entering my kingdom. So that was what he heard about this. The second thing which he heard was, Bharat Maharaj, you have now essentially conquered the entire 6 or 7 continents, and so now you are actually going to be endowed with this type of Chakravarti. So there's going to be a ceremony, and you are now going to be endowed with this title of Chakravarti. And the third news he got was, I got the birth of a son. You just actually, your wife has given birth to a son, and what a joyous occasion. 3 simultaneous events are happening, and Bharat Maharaj has to choose, what is he going to do at this moment? I mean, if I'm going to be endowed with the title of Chakravarti, do I forget about everything else or go there? Or do you go and see, son of birth here? And sort of story and legend says, he actually went to Lord Rishabdev. Okay, if Lord Rishabdev has come here, I actually need to go and pay veneration. So I need to welcome, he's a Tirthankar, he's someone who is conqueror, karmas, and so he gave importance to welcoming Lord Rishabdev over anything else, even his own title, Chakravarti, and even the birth of his son. And that kind of in a way shows what kind of sanman, what kind of respect he gave and how he balanced that. Kalyanam. So Kalyan, this actually comes very, very common. Mangalam, Sarva Mangal Mangalyam, Sarva Kalyanam Karanam, Pradhanam Sarvadharmanam, Jainam Jeti Sasanam. So Kalyan. So Kalyan actually means well-being in the ordinary sense. Anything for our well-being. Then our body, what's going to be for well-being? Let's have a balanced diet. Let's eat some nice proteins and all this kind of thing. So we always are looking for the well-being in an ordinary sense. So that's from a bodily point of view. So we're looking at what's going to be a well-being from a spiritual point of view. So in some ancient texts, Kalyan, Kal or Kal, we know Kal means time, Kal. So you can see the first word is Kal. And An means recite. So Kalyanam, so what it means in ancient scriptures, that something you recite early in the morning. That there are certain prayers you actually recite early in the morning. So dawn dispels darkness. Can you see how it all fits in? Night after night dawn comes along, and when dawn comes, the darkness goes away, and then when you wake up, the first thing to remember is the names of great souls and the gurus. So Kalyanam. Thus gurus brings Kalyan to our lives. So that's kind of one kind of meaning of what Kalyanam means. Acharya Hemchandra provides another interpretation. Kalyan means good health, free from disease. And again, that ties in with the first, that well-being in the ordinary sense. So Kalyan means liberation. Because we always want to be good health and free from disease. Even after we want to be away from diseases. But then the ultimate liberation is not just being away from diseases, but from liberation. So the soul free from karmic blemishes. And so one who gives us liberation is Kalyan. And so we know that the guru is a person who can sort of lead us to liberation. So gurus can provide us resources, guidance, blessings, and to take us towards liberation. I think this is no ordinary feat. If you look at it, we are all in our general professions. We all get busy. So we are all busy in our own professions. If you look at what gurus do, so gurus can sometimes actually feel, okay, let me just look after my own salvation, let me go and meditate by myself. But if you look at someone who is like an acharya or some spiritual gurus, how much time and effort are they spending giving discourses, writing books, and in fact we are actually quite lucky that there's so much information on YouTube right now available. So it's amazing amount of time and energy they're spending, not only for their own salvation, but also helping us towards liberation. So that's kind of Kalyan.
Someone's got a Mercedes S13 SJM. Someone just needs to come out.
So Mangalam. So Mangalam again is a very, very sort of commonly kind of a very common word which actually comes in our prayers. So Mangal means auspicious, vast or divine. Avashyak, Niryukti. So what happens is, if you look at our scriptures, most of them are agams. And then you have upangs. So you have the agams, and upangs are the subsidiary limbs. So agams are the main scriptures, the core agams. Then you have the subsidiary limbs, which are actually explaining what is in the agams. And then Avashyak, Niryukti actually called commentaries. So acharyas would actually have written commentaries. This is what it's actually been meant in the agams. So there are lots of these niryuktis which are actually commentaries which are written on the agams. So Avashyak Niryukti, in that Acharya Haribhadra says, that which brings beneficial results to the aspirants is Mangal. In a way quite similar to Kalyan, but there's subtle differences. That which frees the soul from the shackles of this world is Mangal. So Apraja, Atman. So anything which is going to help us towards our shedding of our karmic bondages is going to be Mangal. That's why there is Mangalam Bhagwan Viro, Mangalam Gautama Prabhu. Bhagwan Namleti Mangal che. By reciting, by devoting myself to Bhagwan Mahavir, I'm actually helping reducing my karmas, and I can actually follow the same path. Mangalam Bhagwan Viro, Mangalam Gautama Prabhu, Mangalam Suri Bhadraja, Jaina Dharmostu Mangalam. Even our prayers ma ave Sarva Mangal Mangalyam, Baddha Mangal Mati Mangalyam, Sarva Kalyanam Karanam, Pradhanam Sarvadharmanam, Jainam Jeti Sasanam. So Jainism is such a religion that can going to help you from from the shackles and actually destroy your karma. So that's actually Mangal. Jaina Dharmostu Mangalam. So Guru transforms the inner core of disciples or devotees and removes the shackles of worldly passions. And I think this is a very common attribute that if you see that someone who never used to believe in any form of religion or spirituality, and if someone did find a guru or a spiritual, the transformation in the personality is just remarkable. It's, oh, this person, look at this person now. The whole behavior, everything kind of really changes once when someone finds. That which brings joy and happiness is Mangal. That which makes the aspirant worthy of worship is Mangal. That is also quite common to see that what is Mangal, in a way actually you can equate that to someone having this kind of makeup. What the makeup does is that beautifies your body. So if I have makeup, that's beautifying and adorning my body, how to make it look better. So that's from a body point of view. But Mangal, from a spiritual point of view, is anything which is going to make my soul better or soul purer. That which makes an endeavor for the well-being of all creatures is Mangal. That which takes away all troubles, bad luck and negative energy is Mangal. And this is actually coming very common. Even apne Manglik, apne Sadhu Maharaj apne Manglik ke to Chattari Mangalam, Arihanta Mangalam, Siddha Mangalam, Sahu Mangalam, Kevali Pandato Tamu Mangalam. So now we can actually understand that these are the four entities which are Mangal. They are going to actually take us towards liberation by removing our karma. So all this is Mangal. Yeah? Any questions on that? Now, Devyam. So Devyam means God in Sanskrit. Now, since time immemorial, people have worshipped gods. If you look at basically all philosophies, worshipping gods has been common. If you look at the Greek mythologies, the Greek have the Greek gods. If you look at the Vedas, they've also got their own, the god of fire, the god of earth, the god, god of water, everything. So the Greek, the Vedas, and in almost many other, in Hindu philosophy, everyone has been worshipping gods. Jainism does not believe in the worship of demigods. We believe, so I think I mentioned that in the past, but again I think it's worthy of clarification. When we talk of gods, and even when there's translation in scriptures of gods has got two kind of meanings. In the ultimate sense, gods for us means the people who have gone to the six shilas. Those are for us the ultimate gods. Or even the arihants, they are gods for us because we know, and the only difference between arihant and the Siddh is that arihant is a human body. So they've got a human body like you and me. They've removed out of 8 karmas, they removed their 4 karmas. So they removed their agati karmas. And which means that in this lifetime in itself, they will actually destroy the karmas and become a Siddh. So that is an arihant. But they are actually got a human body form and they are the ones who are discussed. So right now, Arihant is someone like Simandhar Swami in a different planet. Mahavira Shatraman. So that Simandhar Swami is an Arihant. They've got a huge lifespan. So, for example, Simandhar Swami, he said that he was born in the time of Kuntunath Bhagwan. So, after that, Kuntunath Bhagwan, Muni Surat Kuntunath. So, 20th Tirthankar Vaprada, he was born at that stage. He is in Mahavira Shatra and he is going to die or go into Sikshila at the 9th or the 10th Tirthankar of the next, after their next 10th Tirthankar Khase, so his lifespan is millions of years. So that's how extensive. So he's actually living right now amongst other Tirthankars. So those are gods for us. So whether you call an Arihant or a Siddh, in one way they are kind of in the same thing. The only slight difference is that Arihant is actually present on the earth, having a human body, and eventually when they die, that's the final birth. They do not have any more births. After the births, they become a Siddh. And a Siddh means no body. So just a pure state, and that's in the Sikshila. So those for us are the ultimate gods. We still believe in gods, and they are translated as gods are Devi and Devis. Padmavati Devi, Manibhadra Dev. So all these are Lakshmi Devi. So all these Devi and Devis, they are gods and bodhisattvas. Or in English we can call them as angels. So those angels, and so for all intents and purposes we believe them as gods because they've got divine powers. They can do so many extraordinary things. So they are some people actually believe in them, but they are not the ultimate gods. After all, even the devs and devis, according to Jain philosophy, they have to take birth as human form and then reach to become like a Siddh. So they themselves have even got a finite lifespan. So they are not the ultimate gods for us. Sometimes we believe Jains believe in paying respect to Padmavati Devis and everything because what they believe is that it's almost like an old boys network. હું આજે પાર્શ્વનાથ ભગવાનને વંદન કરું છું તો પદ્માવતી દેવી had a very affection or sort of lot of inclination towards Parshvanath Bhagwan, and then the Padmavati Devi could say, oh wow, he's actually such a great devotee of Parshvanath Bhagwan, let me help him because he's in need, I can help him. So sometimes we are seeking assistance from devs and devis to help us either in mundane or in spiritual. Ideally it should be for spiritual, but sometimes even if there's a lot of, if you are sick or if there's other problems, we do seek divine help. Please help me to get out of these problems. So we do that. So that's kind of, so Jainism does not believe in the worship of demigods. So these other demigods are angels and angels get. When worship comes as ultimate gods, Jains don't believe in that. Each one of us, through spiritual evolution, can attain godhood and become worthy of worship. This is quite unique within Jainism. That many other sort of philosophies, monotheistic philosophies, could be sort of Christian faith, could be Islam faith, or even could be Hindu faith. They believe in one God. There's one God, the God is powerful, and the God has got control of our lives. Sort of reward, and God will punish us, God will reward us, God will do something to us. Jains don't believe in that. So Jains believe that if our God is, Mahavir Bhagwan has become God, then each one of us has got the potential to become God. So it's not exclusive to a certain group of people. Jains believe that if there are infinite souls in Sichila, each one of us can actually reach to that stage right now. So it's not just like a very select few of people, okay, all of our gods bani sakte. So each one of us, so the power is being given to all of us. They all have got equal powers to actually attain that godhood. Through spiritual evolution, can attain godhood and become worthy of worship. So we ourselves can actually even become worthy of worship. And that's actually quite unique because if I greet you in Hindi, it's namaste. So if I have to greet you, I'll say namaste. Nama, aste means soul. So I'm actually bowing down to the divinity within you. That's kind of amazing that even within each one of you, when I say namaste to you, I'm actually bowing down to your, so you might have flows within you, but I know that within each one of us, there is that concept of soul and atma. And that soul and atma in each one of us is divine. We might have each one of us got our flows, and because we have got flows, we obviously not become Siddhs, or we have not become, we have not got Guru, but still within us there is a seed, and that's actually how the term Namaste means. So we are actually bowing down to the divinity within each one of us. Namaste. So those who shine in their own form are devas or gods. So if you are actually Guru Maharaj hoy, Atma Raman they're just in their own self, Atma they're deeply engrossed in their own self. They're almost becoming like Godhood. They're so pure and divine that they have realized their own souls and they are blissful in their own condition, in their own state. Divine miracles is a manifestation of their true identity. Now, miracles is quite common because when we know that essentially if you look at the entire Jain philosophy, there are just two entities. One is soul and one is matter. Jeev and Ajeev. So Jeev is consciousness and Ajeev is all matter. Everything else is matter. So essentially, and not only within, so in the entire universe, whether it's here, Mars, wherever we go, there are just two entities alone. Jeev and Ajeev. Ajeev has actually got different classifications. Ajeev. So Jeev has got only one, consciousness. Ajeev is like, for example, Pudgal. Matter is one thing. Then we have got Akash. Then we've got Akastikaya, Dharmastikaya, the medium of motion, medium of rest. So all these things are kind of Ajeev. They are not consciousness, and they're different divisions. But essentially, at the bigger level, there are just two things, Jeev and Ajeev. And Jeev has got infinite power. If you look at our soul, the more our soul becomes purer and purer and purer, the more power and we are bound to get. So people who are actually on the spiritual path and they're reducing the karmas, and everything is a play of karmas. Ajamane, suppose disease has struck us. Now, if the karmas become less and we get rid of our karmas, then the disease will go away. So after all, it's just a pure interaction of karmas and the bliss. So having divine miracles is no wonder. If someone is on this path of divinity, then they are bound to get divine miracles. Even Lord Mahavir addressed his monks, the epitome of right is there. If you look at Upadhay Sutra, he always refers to his monks as Devanupriya. So if you read these scriptures, he's actually referring to his other monks as Devanupriya. So he's even referring to his own disciples as you are like an embodiment of God, Devanupriya. Bhagavad Sutra, one of the agams has description of 5 types of devas. And And the fourth type, monks are called dharma devas. Can you imagine that monks are equated to almost like being like gods? And this is obviously the true monks. So if someone is on the path of sadhus, and that's why આપણે કહે છે નમો લોએ સર્વ સાહુનમ, આપણે બધા સાધુઓને આપણે વંદન કરીએ છીએ. And because that's actually become the spiritual stage of spirituality, because આપણે નમો લોએ સર્વ સાહુનમ, નમો ભુવજ્જાયનમ, નમો આયર્યાનમ, નમો સિદ્ધાનમ, નમો ઓરિયંતાનમ. So if you look at the ladder, it's like you're literally starting off. When you become a real genuine sadhu, a monk, you've actually started this spiritual progression towards getting the infinite liberation. The upholders and principles of non-violence and truth are considered as devas not only in Jainism but also in Vedas. Also in the Hindu scriptures, the monks and nuns are considered as to be. Lord Krishna describes some qualities of what sadhus and monks have. Abhay, fearlessness to others by man, vachan and kaya. So people do not have any fear by man, vachan or kaya. Ko amana kijase, like kaya thi pan fear na hoy. Mane marse, so no one's going to hit me. So the quality of a guru is people have got no fear. And that's why sometimes it's a common experience that if you've even gone to Virayatan or gone to any of your sadhus, there's a general sense of peace and calmness. No matter what it's us, even in Buddhism, if you go to the Buddhist centers here, you go to anyone who is actually following this path, whether it's a Sikh monk or anyone who's on the path of spirituality, you feel a general sense of calmness and peace around them. So they really emanate this abhay, fearlessness. There's a purity of mind and honest conduct. And this is also very, very true and open. It's actually sacred. We are actually staying in a day and age right now where there's actually we are like kind of, we show something and we act as something else. And this is quite common. Even in our workplace, it's people have to put on a show and kind of say, you are saying something else, but at the back of your mind, so some other ideas and thoughts are coming along. So we really do not have this purity of mind and honest conduct. We really can't speak our mind up. We have to, so we have to weave our way around things. But monks and nuns, what you see is what you get. Steadfast in acquiring spiritual knowledge through yoga and dhyana. They are really resolute. I mean, even if you look at the Hindu scriptures, some of these monks and nuns, ek bagi loga dhyan karta hoye che, kalako sudhi they are staring in the sun. So the amount of austerities they go through is just amazing. What really motivates them? They're really steadfast. Charity, giving, the sense of giving, restraint of sense organs. We looked at that last week when we looked at brahmacharya and all this. So they really restrain their sense organs, taste, touch, smell. Yagna. So this is again from the Hindu point of view. Sacrifice for the benefit of mankind. Think of climate change protesters right now. It's amazing that to what extent are they really going through the benefit of mankind. And that's actually happening right now. This guy went on top of the British Airways flight, and he himself said that I was looking at it, he was freezing. He said it was so cold, and he said, I was hoping that the police will actually arrest me very quickly. But he said, why am I doing this? And he said, this person himself had the fear of heights. So he's actually quite afraid by sort of being on the top of the plane, because he said, I'm actually petrified. But yet, he says, I went on the top of the flight for my own son. He says, what are you leaders all doing? There's a genuine climate threat, and you guys are just doing nothing. There's a government level. So can you imagine at what level they're actually sacrificing or doing this for the benefit of mankind? There's no selfish interest in this here. He did not do this anything for himself. He's willing to get arrested just for the benefit of mankind and for the future generations. And that's really what all this rebellion is all about. And you can just see that power. They engage themselves in scriptural study. They do lots of tough austerities and simplicity and straightforwardness. They follow the path of ahimsa, non-violence. They avoid injury and pain to any creatures. They speak the truth. And that's quite amazing that sometimes, people pose questions to them. They really, and that's why it's called Mahavrats, that they actually want to follow the truths, to the ultimate truths, not even white lies. A growth, absence of anger even when provocated. Amazing that kind of saying that it's like Mahatma Gandhi પણ વિચાર કર્યા હતા અને મને ટ્રેનમાંથી બહાર કાઢ્યો તો એક કપડ આપી તો એટલે બીજો ગાલ આપું છું એટલે બીજો બીજા મારતો મને માર. I mean, to what extent do they really go to that extent? I mean, we sometimes find it quite difficult to see how can you have such genuine calmness and not even being totally angry. Tyag, renunciation of all sensual objects. Shanti, inner peace. Apaisunam, absence of vilification of another. They don't sort of talk bad of others or vilify others. Daya, kindness to others in distress. All are like me. They really have the genuine feeling of daya. And the real epitome of this person is Taima. If you really look at her, no matter who the person is, whether they could be a very rich person or whether they're the poorest of poor people, even if you look at some of her pictures, even for animals, she actually have animals in her lap. So the amount of, she really genuinely feels that all souls are like myself. Kindness to others in distress. And that's actually, you can see that why, like even if you look at Virajan's organization, not only are they pursuing spirituality, but because of this distress, they say, what can I do for others? And that's why Taima's, one of her guiding principles was that a lot of people actually spending money for building temples. And her was, Jaha Jinale, Waha Gyanale. So wherever there is Tikuttho rather than spending money for building new temples, why don't they start using that money to build new schools? And that's exactly the ethos. Every time Sadhusila Piji comes here, they're doing it in Nepal, they're doing it in Palitana, and essentially, and the one in Palitana is again quite amazing to see. Palitana par chade the Dodi na chokra, the Dodi is actually lift us if you are really not well. They lift you all the way to take you to Palitana. If this carries on, ena chokra pan Doli no kam kar se. When will this progress be? And this is why can't we provide education to the Doli na chokra market? And that's the reason how kind of the Palitana school has started. So it's again to see how can I help kindness to others in distress. They're all like me. Non-covetousness and detachment, avoiding permission, they're truly detached, gentle, avoiding shame born from sinful acts. Because they are just in a very true and genuine people, they just generally don't have any sin or guilt. There's some bit of shame within us. But if our life essentially is very pure and genuine, then there's actually no shame. Absence of restlessness. Wavering mind. They are very steadfast, they're really firm. So they've got a very, and that's again through meditation, and lots of meditation. Avoiding unnecessary movements. Everything is well controlled. Their speaking, their movements, body reactions. So that's why Satwiji dressing up, it's a very genuine and truly meant. It's not a kind of a random action. So everything is very well thought out. Inner vigor for qualities and principles. Forgiveness, fortitude, purity of man, vachan and kaya. Lack of malice, there is no hatred. Absence of arrogance and haughtiness. Now if you look at all this list, it's went on, wouldn't you think that someone is actually like a god? If someone had all these qualities here, it's an amazing kind of thing. After my quality, oh wow, maybe this is good for us. But if someone is an embodiment of these qualities and all the other qualities, you can genuinely say that this person is like a god. There could be slight flaws, obviously, but 99% they are all great and worthy of worship. So therefore, divinity means immortal purity of life, free from Maya, teacher of the universe, their shared knowledge to all. Guru is not merely a dev but God. So it's like Paramatma, supreme soul. And so says if you are this, you are really truly on the path of becoming a Paramatma. So one thing about the Gurus are, they really restrain their senses. If you look at, there's a wild elephant, and never did go over here. If you look at this guy, he has retained his senses so much, there's no fear of a lion. And if you look at some of these people who are in this conservationists, some people sort of have spat snakes and everything. Can you imagine to what extent they've actually overcome that fear? So they're actually the emperor of the world. So once when all the fears have gone away, you actually become a true emperor. So in Abramati, the senses are our biggest downfall. Our senses, because our senses lead us astray. So that's the reason for our circle. It is because of our senses. We really succumb to our senses. We do not have mastery of our senses. And there is actually another word. Jo sahasam sahasanam samdame tujjayajine egam ginitya appanam esase paramajo. So what that means, जो 10 लाख शत्रुओं पर भी रण में विजय प्राप्त कर लेता, एक जीतता नीच आत्मा को परम विजय उसकी Kalhati, yeah. Kalhati. So essentially what it means is someone can win 1,000 enemies. So I'm a king and I have actually won over 1,000 enemies. So wow, you've really destroyed 1,000 people. But one person who's actually conquered their senses and realized their soul, he's actually supposed to be the ultimate conqueror. So it doesn't mean how many kingdoms you've conquered and everything, but if you've managed to conquer your senses, you've actually managed to get on the path of spirituality. Therefore, a warrior on the battlefield may conquer a million foes, but the greatest warrior is one who conquers himself. So essentially that's what it means. So therefore, Guru is referred to as Bhante. Karani Bhante Bhante, like God. So Guru and that's actually Karani Bhante that's actually a very profound prayer. When Sadhvi Sangamitraji took Diksha, that is actually the prayer to say, Karani Bhante we are taking a vow to say, Samayik 48 minutes at the Besuche. Oh Guru, please give me the permission that I want to be in Samayik for 48 minutes. And during that 48 minutes, I will not engage in any evil activities. But for a sadhu and sadhvi, that Samayik is not for 48 minutes, it's a lifelong Samayik. So therefore they even recite the same prayer. That's actually like a vow, that I now want to be in Samayik, not for 48 minutes, for my entire life. Karani Bhante. So, apne Guru ne pan apne Bhante kijiye. Oh God, please, so enough amazing to see to what extent are we giving respect to our Gurus. And because they actually conquered their senses, they're really the masters of themselves. And essentially you can say that they're emperors of the world. They're really the true emperors. Chaitya. આપણે આવે છે ચૈયમ, જે the માં ચૈયમ. So ચૈયમ, the Prakrit form of the word is Chaitya. Chaitya in Stanapasi means knowledge. So there's a slight difference between the Stanapasi and the Deravasi. Knowledge is the indicator of light, and so thinking of Guru as light. So Chaitya, as you know, Chaitya means knowledge. And knowledge is the indicator of light, because they, knowledge Guru they're going to guide us through life. Others believe it means idol, Svetambars. So Chaitya means idols. That can be worshipped as an idol. That's why there are some Svetambars, there are some Chaitya Vandan Guru, Chaitya Vandan. So that's one of the prayers which is Chaitya Vandan Guru. And the Chaitya Vandan, so Chaitya is idol to Vandan Karo, so Chaitya Vandan. So Guru is indeed worthy of worship even as an idol. So I can actually put a Guru on that same pedestal as a God. So other meaning imply whose very sight brings exhilaration to the heart. So Acharya Malai Giri, that which makes the mind vast, beautiful, serene and pure. So Guru broadens our horizon of our small minds corrupted by passions. So because the meaning of Chayam means which makes the mind vast, beautiful, serene and pure. So Guru has got such a mind, and then they help us to make our small minds which are corrupted by passions to open up and make the mind vast, beautiful, serene and pure. So in conclusion, paying obeisance to one's Guru is a very significant act in our life as a spiritual experience. Because we are on this path of divinity, we have embarked on this kind of spiritual path, so therefore for us finding a Guru or giving reverence to a Guru is quite important. Our pride is shunned and we offer with humility and gratitude. If our soul touches the divine aura of the Guru, can lead to the highest peaks of spirituality. Because, Gurus are just taking wholeheartedly. Mahavir said, by Vandan, soul destroys the karma of low lineage. What is the benefit of doing Vandan all the time? Now, even if you look at the Pratikaman, so many times so many times so by Vandan, genuine Vandan, the soul destroys the karmas of low lineage. So, Apro Atma it will not go into the wrong gati, into the low realm. And accumulates karma of high lineage and acquires fortunes, becomes rooted in religion and is dear to all. Upadhay Amar Muni advocates that we should offer Vandan not only by words but also with bodily action. Agams describe Vandans of two types: objective, external bodily parts, 4 limbs and a head. Our limbs, our hands are touching the ground, and then finally our head even touches the ground. If you look at the Swaminarayanis, They sometimes, how do they venerate? They go totally prostrate, totally. Even some of the Buddhists, they go totally flat on the ground and they will give. So essentially, એમાં જુદા આવે છે. આપણામાં આપણા 5 આપણા આવે છે. 2 hands, 2 legs and the head. That actually could be the entire 8 or 10. I think it's called Ashtanga Naman. So I think it's 8 because if the whole body is actually touching the ground and you're giving your reverence to do that. So that's subjective, inner consciousness. So bhavti mandan karu છું. So like that's your inner consciousness. In olden days, the Tirthankar or Guru would be seated in a center of assembly, visiting devotees who walk in a circle in pattern, starting on the right. So this is actually giving some kind of justification. આપણે જ્યારે Tikuttho કે છે, it says 3 times I'm going to be circumambulate. So right now we are doing this in a way like we're moving our hand 3 times in a pattern. But in the olden days, the Guru, as we know, that could be sitting in a circular area and people could actually be going round the Guru 3 times. So that could be another reason of why we say Tikuttho So Guru beta hoy, so you're actually going around them 3 times. Even after Deravasi che, when they go to temples, they have Pradikshana Pranava and Bhagwan. 3 times they go around the Deravasi. So that's another kind of way of thinking of why it's written Tikuttho So 3 times reverence approach. And 3 again has got some kind of justification because time has got past, present and future. So there are kind of 3 periods of time. So, you know, past માટે વંદન કરું છું, present માટે કરું છું, and future માટે કરું છું. So kind of the 3 has got why 3. So 3 could have that kind of one reason. Past, present and future. I think that's basically it. Yeah. Any questions on? So it was not too bad. Just 2 lines of prayers. But I think this is the beauty because when I initially looked at it, I thought it's going to be 5 minutes. But if you look at how Upadhay Amar Muni has done, that even with a small, just 2 or 3 lines, they can expand on it so much more. And this again in a condensed manner. So if gurus are here, they can even just take a very small part of our prayer and just talk on it. And that actually gives you the appreciation of how profound our prayers are. Okay, they could be very small things, but include depth and each prayer has got. Any questions?
Whole conversation when we keep on saying that we are expecting the favor of God, but again, in the one part you said we don't believe in any gods. When you say God, do it mean like Arihants or?
So when we say they are God-like, so they are on the path of actually becoming like the Sikhs. So because therefore actually they are humans like us. But again they are on the path of actually going to becoming like they want to get rid of their karmas.
They got rid of the 4 karma already.
No, that's only Tirthankars. The Aryans or Tirthankars are the same. Tirthankars are the ones who have got rid of their 4 karmas.
So still they have the human bodies.
But those are special.
They are not on the earth.
They're not on the earth. They're in a different area, Mahavidya Kshetra. So those are kind of the ultimate gods.
So they must have been on the earth before and then they have reached that.
Yes.
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 Then they become the replacement and they reach to.
Okay, so what it means, the Tirthankar is essentially like such as this. For example, Bhagwan Mahavir is born. He's not a Tirthankar yet. He then sort of decides that I actually want to leave my house and I actually want to pursue spirituality. So he goes 12 years in the forest and meditates. He's still a normal human being. The only difference is because, on hindsight you can say, because he was going to become a Tirthankar, he's the one who had no guru by himself. So he searched path by himself. He realized the truth by himself. Amar, what is path, Muni and everything. So he got rid of his karmas. When he got rid of his karmas, so all karmas sort of almost go away, all the ghati karmas go away. So that's the time we say he's got Keval Gnan. So the moment Keval Gnan strikes to you, Keval Gnan means ultimate knowledge. Knowledge of past, present and future. So you have got knowledge of everything simultaneously. If I want to gain knowledge, I have to go to the library and ek pache I'll actually gain knowledge. Amche. It's a sequential knowledge. Keval Gnan means knowledge of everything, whether it's consciousness, whether it's Budgal, everything, past, present and future. You know about everything of the past, the present and the future. So that's the ultimate knowledge. And once when you get that ultimate knowledge, that means you have now become God. But the only thing is that the 4 karmas are still remaining for Mahavir. So he's got rid of all the main ghati karmas. Nam karma, Ayushya karma is still remaining. Once when that goes away, then he becomes a Sikh. Now what happens is, so for example, he's become a Tirthankar. Now he's the guru at that time. So but the moment he gets Keval Gnan, he's now ready to teach. Because now people
So Tirthankars can get the Keval Gnan.
no. So he's got Keval Gnan, right? So now his disciple becomes Gautam Swami becomes his disciple. So Gautam Swami becomes his disciple, and he got many other disciples at that stage. Now when the disciple also follows the path of spirituality, say for example, so even Chandan Bala, so she became that. So as the disciples start following them, instead for example, they also get rid of all their karmas. And they also get Keval Gnan. So that Keval Gnan, but they haven't got that karma of being called a Tirthankar. So they are also Keval Gnan. So there's no difference between Mahavir and Chandan Bala or Gautam Swami after they got Keval Gnan. They are still in the human forms, but they are still not called Tirthankars. They are not going to be preaching to the masses. They are not going to form Shravak, Shavika, the Tirth Chestape, the Tirth. So they don't, so those are like the precedents kind of thing. So in essence, if Gautam Swami has got Keval Gnan or Chandan Bala has got Keval Gnan, they are still going to go to become a Shiv. But they are still not a Arihant, or they are not a Tirthankar. Because they are not giving this mass. But otherwise there's no distinction. So both Mahavir has become a Siddh, and even Gautam Swami and Chandan Bala and anyone else who's discarded their karmas and got Keval Gnan, they all then will become Siddh.
And then the next step could be Arihant.
No, Siddh is the ultimate. Arihant is like Bhagwan Mahavir, who has got the Tirthankar Nam Karma. And so the only thing what Arihant or Tirthankar is that I've got Keval Gnan, and I can now start preaching to others. I can preach, okay, now I'm going to be starting a Tirth, Shravak, Shavika, Sadhu, Sadhima, some may start Piro. I've now started a whole really kind of a path, a religion. I'm establishing, these are going to be sadhus, these are going to be sadhvis, this is going to be Shavaks, I'm going to be teaching religions. My disciples are going to learn from me, and then they're going to write scriptures and all this kind of stuff. So I have now almost become like the leader.
And the Agams are not even from Tirthankars.
So the Agams, so all these Gautam Swami and all these other gurus, they all learned it from Bhagwan Mahavir. And at that time it was an oral tradition, so nothing was written down. So, and then powerful memory. So I would have taught you would have taught others. But then I think they say 700 years after Bhagwan Mahavir, people started losing, even the monks started losing their memory. So Pataliputra and Valbipur, these are the two places in India. Monks decided, look, what we are finding is that we are actually forgetting the scriptures, so why don't we get together and start compiling whatever is being written. So the first time there were actually 3 synagogues in 3 chunks of part 1, part 2 and part 3. So these 3 conferences, what you'd call, they all got together and they actually penned up, and that's where the Agams started in. So that's when the Agams were actually penned down. So, but essentially what we are saying is that the gurus are God-like. They are not gods per se, because they are still humans, but because they are purifying themselves, we are giving them respect as God-like. They are really so much further advanced than what we are, that we are giving them the respect almost like gods.
So on one step we are saying we don't follow the demigods, and then we are expecting someone to treat as a god.
Yeah, God in the sense that it's a kind of respect we are giving them, because again, so right now, we are not bowing down to Bhagwan Mahavir to say, oh Bhagwan Mahavir, you are at the control of my life, please help me. Or please do this to me. Please punish me, please do that. I've done this wrong, please forgive me. Bhagwan Mahavir cannot forgive you.
So we are saying
So-
that kind of Sanatana Dharma, where we believe in that one ultimate God, and he is responsible for either creator or destroyer.
No, so we don't believe you're a creator, just to take me. So we wouldn't say, okay, I have actually, so when you pray to God, please forgive me. You can only forgive yourself. You can't ask someone to forgive you. Bhagwan Mahavir cannot come and say, okay, I'm going to forgive you. But it's your own self-realization, yeah.
In this age of cynicism, how will we know which guru to follow?
That's a $1 million question, as they say. In essence, what happens is, like, as they say that, I think it's a very broad answer, and it's like, say, every person has to find one guru. I think that's the shortest answer, and that's probably the most generic and true answer, but that doesn't help people generally. Okay, you have to find your own guru. In a way, you have to also look at it. I think, which girl should I get married to? You can ask the same question, and eventually people can give you guidance, but essentially you have to find your own wife. Yeah, so you have to find your own wife, you have to find your own husband. People can give you guidance.
You mentioned the quality.
So my simple answer is, I think it's path dependent. place where you're born at, the place where you get, the family you're born in, so maybe your family is following a certain guru, you get endowed, you follow that, but eventually comes a stage whereby you use your own discretion. Okay, I've been born in such a certain environment, this is, is given to me, and now, if I want to follow this guru, like my family has been following it, or I found someone, there are some people who are free souls, they just literally go wandering around, and saying, I'm in search of a true guru. You find someone, and I think if I'm not mistaken, like Mahatma Gandhi, everyone, they really wanted to search around, they really go, you hear someone go, Sacha Guruji, you go to them, then you find out in the association type, how much impression they leave on you is essentially it's your own question, your own okay. And I think essentially it's almost like saying, healthy food, but you yourself will like certain foods. Tamara taste comes in. So you could actually, so if there are 5 gurus here, let's imagine all 5 of them are really true, genuine gurus. But essentially there will be certain chemistry which you will actually find, personality, so it's, I think, essentially just that chemistry which you will find yourself to say, I really found someone. I think so. I think so. This is something which cannot be enforced on you. You please follow this. It has to come within, and therefore it has to be your own journey. Okay? This is who I believe in. So, like for example, if I look at myself right now, I wouldn't say that I found a true guru. For me, the stage at my spiritual level right now is that I want to learn Lord Mahavir's words. So no matter which guru is available, I want to. So that's what really attracts me right now is Bhagavan Mahavir Nivani. Anyone who is actually going to be speaking about Lord Mahavir and explaining that attracts me to them. So at this stage, I wouldn't say that this is one guru, that guru, but there are different people in the different spiritual paths. So like for example, so someone might say, I really found my guru, and this is the path I'm following, and that's basically it. And it works for them because then there's no distraction. You're on that kind of accelerated path. You found someone, it's clicked with you, and
wouldn't you stagnate? Sorry, wouldn't you then just stagnate? What I'm trying to say is, wouldn't you just stagnate constantly? When you were talking right now, I was just thinking, well, look, hold on. You have when your example where you say Mahavir, Swami, you kind of follow, so you look at different gurus, get different interpretations, and then from there you form your own judgment. Is that what I understand? Right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't you then just stagnate at one point, just give yourself 100% to one person and then follow whatever they say?
I think what happens is that, and the fact that the gurus are godlike, is essentially gurus are the ultimate personalities. So for example, they can actually say, it's almost like saying, all of us, we used to play with toys. Girls would play with dolls or whatever it is. And eventually you become slightly older and you say, let me leave these things and let me now go on to something different. So the gurus are, the question of stagnation does not come in because the guru then essentially judges this person was at this level right now. Through years of whatever my guidance or what I've shown him, they've now got to this stage here. I can still find that this person has got certain ego, certain this, certain that. And the guru says, I think we have now got to this level here. Now why don't you now pursue this path here to improve on this? And so therefore the constant path is, and that subtleness is the guru can know. It's like almost you going to a doctor. You go to a GP, but now it's something else. I think you need to go to a consultant. So the guru essentially is at that level here. They can really understand at what level you are and how you need to move on. Years I can practice but I can see you really mastered this. You've mastered your taste over your tongue. But okay, now let's work on something else. And it's that guru who can find out and I think generally, to tell you the truth, this prayer was quite new to me because obviously this is, I've heard many of Stanapasis actually recite this more frequently than. Yeah, so yeah, it's
Stanapasis, so in the Samayik, we recite this.
So again, this is certain differences like Swetambarzoi, that there are slightly different prayers and Stanapasis have different prayers, but essentially the meanings are such so profound and deep. But I think as Ketanbhai said that it's actually recited during Samayik Karta. But I think what's happened nowadays is that there is no firm groundology. If certain prayers, you like certain prayers, and if you learn this by heart, I mean, traveling karta, something could just come in your mind and you could just be reciting. So that kind of, very firm demarcation. How much I think people have become a little bit more liberal. this prayer likes you, you remembered it. If you want to say it certain times, then you have to just go ahead and recite it. I think Ketan Bhai, I think this is the end of the two lectures which I was going to give. Then after the half term, Ketan Bhai is going to be talking about this. He just wanted a few words about.
Thank you, Rajeev. So Sandeep and myself are going to be after half term talking about another book by Amar Muni, which is called Bliss, the culmination of detachment. So this book is a very practical book, and it's a set of discourses where it talks about what is detachment, why is it important, and because it's in a discourse style, it's a very practical book. So the kind of things it discusses are, first of all, wealth. Is wealth a good thing or a bad thing? And he really challenges maybe some of our notions about wealth and what wealth really means. He also talks about possessiveness, of having possessions. Is that how should we look at possessions? What is the meaning of possessions? He also talks about individuality and society. What is the role of the individual and individualism, and what's the role of society? And then he talks about really that path of detachment. So I'm going to be taking the first 3 lectures, and then Sandeep is going to be taking the next few lectures. Sandeep, do you want to say anything on this? No. And what's really interesting as well now is that Acharya Chandnaji has also done a very good talk during Pujya, about 10 minutes on non-possessiveness. So we're going to watch that video. And the other thing I want to warn you all is I'll be doing very little talking. You'll be doing all the work. So when you come back on the 1st of November, be ready to do all the work, okay? Because I'll just prompt you, and then we'll go on a journey together. Sandeep, yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Jai Jinan.
Okay,